Over the years, I've played a fair number of Japanese niche games. Something I've noticed is that for whatever reason, I tend to not always gravitate towards the more known ones. Often I end up playing obscure games or ones that are a bit low budget. Because of this, I've played a few games, or a bunch of games actually, that I like, but have several flaws. Be it graphical, gameplay, something else, or a combination of various things. So for this video, I figured I'd talk about Japanese niche games that I want to see remade or remastered. But before we get to that, I'd like to talk about today's sponsor, NordVPN. Thankfully, there are companies like NordVPN that support the channel and allow me to keep creating the videos I want to make and you guys want to see, which as you know is sometimes a troublesome endeavor on YouTube. NordVPN is a fast and secure VPN with more than 5,300 servers in 59 countries. Right now, you can get a deal on a subscription, which you can check out at nordvpn.com/ysn. Link is in the description. As a lot of Japanese niche game fans know, sometimes you just can't get certain games in your location. With NordVPN, that process can be made a bit simpler by changing your virtual location to, for example, not Australia, so that you can get stuff like Valkyrie Drive or Galgun. Other geo-restricted content can be accessed like this too, of course. I like to watch UK panel shows, and I can do so without having to wait for someone to upload episodes on YouTube. And because I grew up in Germany, I can set my location to Germany, damit ich deutschen Kram sehen kann, das international blockiert ist. And I can use NordVPN on all my devices. NordVPN is fast and low latency, so it's great for gaming, and it's secure because of AES 256 encryption, meaning you don't have to worry about people snooping on your internet activity even if you're using public Wi-Fi. Additionally, there's also NordVPN's threat protection feature. Threat protection guards you against web trackers, harmful websites, infected files, and intrusive and malicious ads. On the NordVPN Windows or Mac OS desktop app, you can toggle on or off the level of protection, and if you're using Android or iOS, there is Threat Protection Lite, which protects you from ads, unsafe connections, and malicious sites. Right now, NordVPN is offering a 2-year plan plus 4 months free. Just go to nordvpn.com/ysn. It's risk-free thanks to Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee, and like I said before, you can find the link in the description as well. And now let's continue on with the video. So, Japanese niche games I want to see remade or remastered. This list isn't in any particular order. There's of course plenty of games that I could mention in this category, but I consciously didn't include a lot of them. I wanted to stick to Japanese games that are mostly not mainstream for the most part, but I personally want to play again in a remastered or remade form. And even reimagined if their original idea was really interesting, but the game was poorly executed. I also wanted to avoid simple, like, oh, better graphics would be nice type of situations, unless the upgrade is quite large. Or else, anything that's low budget or slightly not current would be on this list, and that would be just, a bit too much. But anyways, let's start. Valkyria Chronicles 2 and 3. As watchers of this channel will know, I really like Valkyria Chronicles. The alternate reality World War II setting with social commentary and a mix of turn-based and real-time combat make this one of my favorite franchises. While I personally consider the two PSP games, Valkyria Chronicles 2 and 3, low points in terms of gameplay, I think they're still exceptional games. So yeah, low point is perhaps a bit of a harsh term to use in this situation. Makes it sound like they're terrible games when they aren't. Both are PSP games, and while the second game did get a Western release, the third didn't, which is a shame, though there's a translation floating around you can get. Because of the PSP visuals, I think both games would make great candidates for remakes using the engine from the first and fourth game. The art style really got lost in the PSP games, which is a shame. It's also a great opportunity for people to experience these stories, plus they could address a few things with the original games that aren't so amazing. Now, I haven't really played the third game all that much, but in the second game it's quite clear how much easier the game is compared to the first and fourth. You can just storm head on into heavy fire without, taking that much damage. In fact, it's usually a very viable strategy to just run in with infantry. I think if they tweaked that, I'd be very happy. But even if they left the game how it is, I think I still would enjoy playing these PSP games with more modern visuals. Another thing that would be nice is better sound quality. Everything sounds a bit low bitrate. For obvious reasons, right? It's a, sort of mid-2000s technology or era sort of thing, right? So when it comes to mobile games, they had to squash a lot down to make it fit. I'm sure anybody who's played these games will agree with me that some of the explosions, they're terrifyingly weak and flaccid when it comes to sound quality. Time and Eternity, or Toki Towa. Now, this is one game that not many people know. It's a very obscure PS3 game. I used to own it, but because of lack of foresight, I didn't keep the game, which is very uncharacteristic of me. I tend to basically keep everything I buy. It's an RPG that mixes 3D environments and 2D animated characters. The problem was that it felt and looked so clunky. Animations were weird, and it didn't look like they matched the movement across the three-dimensional world. The 3D environments themselves were super bare also and looked more like an alpha version rather than a released game. The camera was also very locked in terms of angles. You kept wishing for for something not so zoomed in the entire time you're running around in a dungeon, but you can't change it because they don't have sprites for those camera movements, I guess. It's really frustrating. I like the idea of 2D animation in an anime-style game, especially in a world where now, most of the time you see like live 2D stuff being used, but it looks too floaty and, how it's like it has like a flowy, sort of slow, bouncy effect, and I don't think that really looks like it's from an anime at all. Maybe one day they can re-explore this concept again. But yeah, a simple remaster I don't think would cut it here. It really needs to be remade from scratch. There's just too much wrong with Toki Towa. Kandagawa Jet Girls. One game you may know that I was disappointed with was Kandagawa Jet Girls, and it's a jet ski game made by the same producer of Senran Kagura, but because of Sony, the game was made much tamer than it was supposed to be. But it's not just fan service the game was lacking. The actual racing part is clumsy in terms of controls, and I think it's kinda weird how you have to do the whole leaning back and forth thing. Like, when you don't get the base physics down, then adding stuff like that is just a pain in the ass. If the game was fun from a racing standpoint, then I think the lack of fan service could have been excused, but as it is right now, it's just too clumsy to be really fun. The controls are really stiff, and I don't feel like, it doesn't feel like you're cutting through the water and the waves. And then of course there's the mini games, obviously they're meant to be like a fan service thing, but those were nerfed. So obviously if they remade those how they were supposed to be, I think that would be a good thing. Neptunia producing perfection. If there's a series that perhaps doesn't need remakes, it's Neptunia, but I think Neptunia producing perfection is an exception. It's an idol-based spin-off, and I think that whole premise should be looked at again. They did do that with Virtual Stars, to be fair, but that's more about VTubers. And also that game was developed before the VTuber boom happened, so it's not really what people expect. I think they should just take Neptunia PP and just remake it entirely into a rhythm game. I know originally it wasn't a rhythm game like in a traditional sense, but I think it would work very well because they have so much music amassed over the years. There's electronic music, rock and metal, and then other games like Neptunia RPG and Four Goddesses Online had a lot of orchestral stuff. I think that would work quite well, and it would be fun for fans of the series. You can play around with the outfits and listen to all the songs and maybe have different they could actually recycle some of the stages for the different songs for the different games. That would actually work in that regard. But the way Neptunia PP is currently, I think it's a bit boring in my opinion. I think most people agree who have played that game. I don't mind the life simulation stuff or the idol raising or whatever it's called, but the rhythm gameplay not being like a traditional music rhythm game really hurts it. 3D Dot Game Heroes. Another PS3 only game on this list. 3D Dot Game Heroes is a very highly regarded Zelda-style game that took inspiration from, obviously, the original Legend of Zelda, and also a bit of Link to the Past. And then they put a blocky 3D visual aesthetic on top of that. Obviously, it's been made by people who love Zelda, and that shows in terms of gameplay refinement and visuals. Unfortunately, there never was a re-release of this game, so it's only on the PS3. I think it'd do quite well if they just straight up ported it to newer platforms or, also the PC. I think that would be popular enough. But some enhancements would be nice. For example, you can create your own characters, so maybe a way to upload and download things or characters that other people made would be nice. Maybe even add in some customizable dungeons or areas. Games like that have great potential when creative people can make cool stuff in them. Muramasa, the Demon Blade. Lastly, I'll mention Muramasa the Demon Blade, a very stylistic and fun to play 2D side-scrolling game set during the Edo period, and it's made by Vanillaware, who are known for their 2D games, but I still like Muramasa the most out of all of them. I originally played it on the Wii, and the Vita also got an enhanced version, and I personally just want to see this game on modern systems in high resolution. I think the art style deserves it. More people should also get the opportunity to play it as well. It is possible that we'll see a port of this game eventually because they are re-releasing Grim Grimoire. That was quite an unknown PS2 game, so there's hope. I actually can't think of any like other enhancements other than I just want to play it on, like in 4K or something. So, and I also just want more people to play it. So yeah, those are some Japanese niche games I want to see remade or remastered. I hope you found that interesting. Let me know what you think, and if there's any Japanese niche games you want to see remade or remastered, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.